One of the first things someone sent me, we were talking about Elon Musk, and I have had a love-hate relationship with this guy. I used to be into him, I guess. Read his biography, and for the same guy that did Steve Jobs' biography, wrote one for him. I read through that. It was like that thick. Anyway, he's kind of a sick puppy, but that's beside the point. I got one good and one bad thing from him. And the first one, let's start with the good. I really liked. We did a episode here a while back on Mr. Beast's working environment where there was a lot of people that thought it was, to use toxic, I guess. And I kind of thought some of it made sense from a performance standpoint, remembering that like somebody like Mr. Beast, his network is like the best in the planet. And I think that's what Musk, Freudian slip there. I think that's what Musk thinks about his own endeavors, is that they're some of the best in the world. And while they're probably the best funded, I'm not sure they're the actual best. But here's a cool post about, and I don't know if any of this shit's true or not, but somebody just sent me this and they said, "What do you think about it?" And this is his leaked email that he sent to, I think, executive type or management type or whatever, about walking out of a meeting if you aren't adding value to it. And oh, it's to all Tesla employees. Okay, so I guess this is at the end of another thing, but he says, by the way, are a few productivity recommendations. Excessive meetings are the blight of big companies and almost always get worse over time. Please get rid of all large meetings unless you're certain they are providing value to the whole audience, in which case keep them very short. I've been in so many meetings where the client is calling me in as a consultant, and I'm sitting there while they're having basically an internal organizational meeting where they're paying me hundreds of dollars per hour. And I'm just like, I'm happy to sit here, but it doesn't make sense for you to waste this money. And I've seen that time and time again. Also, get rid of frequent meetings unless you are dealing with an extremely urgent matter. Meeting frequency should drop rapidly once the urgent matter is resolved. I've also worked with and for and had people work for me that want to meet all the time. They always want to meet and talk. Yes, sometimes it is easier to just call someone or to talk to someone. And by all means, do that. What I'm talking about is an actual meeting with no real agenda or outcome planned, right? Unless, like he says, you're dealing with something like an emergency or whatever. Walk out of a meeting or drop off a call as soon as it is obvious you aren't adding value. It is not rude to leave. It is rude to make someone stay and waste their time. I like that one too. I just do. Don't use acronyms or nonsense words for objects, software, or processes at Tesla. In general, anything that requires an explanation inhibits communication. We don't want people to have to memorize a glossary just to function at Tesla. That's pretty self-explanatory, and I would agree with him. Communication should travel via the shortest path necessary to get the job done, not through the chain of command. Any manager who attempts to enforce chain of command communication will soon find themselves working elsewhere. I'm not sure about that one. I do respect chain of command. I think this might be tied into some of the ego accusations on his part. I do think that chain of command is an important thing. I don't think it should be dogma, and I don't think it should be like used as an excuse to not make progress on something. But in general, if there is a planned communication based on some other information that maybe not everyone should be privy to, or for the sake of getting something out of someone, they don't need to know the whole scope. I think you should kind of try to respect that. I agree with the sentiment, but I don't know about that one. A major source of issues is poor communication between departments. The way to solve this is to allow the free flow of information between all levels if in order to get something done between departments, an individual contributor has to talk to their manager, who talks to a director, who talks to a VP, talks to another VP, talks to a director, who talks to a manager, who talks to someone doing the actual work, then super dumb things will happen. It must be okay for people to talk directly and just make the right thing happen. In general, always pick common sense as your guide. Blah, blah. The last one's pretty obvious, but that one, it's sort of related to the other one in terms of communication, in that you go up and down this chain of command or management command or whatever. It's like that game of telephone where, I don't know if you've ever heard of that or seen that, where you have like 5 people lined up and you tell one person a secret, and then they in turn tell the next person, and then you go to the end and see how much the secret had changed as it made it from person to person. That's what he's getting at. You can mitigate things like that by writing things down. I think a big problem, this is just me bitching about organizational communication. I think a big problem is that a lot of times people don't want to actually take the time to think about the things that they want to talk about, to the extent of being able to write it down. I try to force everyone to write things in an email. I don't need a 5-page summary email with 14 bullet points and 12 pages. Just think about it and write it down. It's really not that hard, and it brings like making yourself to sit there and think about, how do I communicate this, helps you bring clarity to yourself in what you're asking for. Okay, and then he makes a plea for the company rule is just using common sense. Okay, so that's one. That was it's not so bad and pretty good stuff.